Hi folks, welcome to Great Books, Big Ideas. My name's Jim. Thanks for joining me. I hope you're doing well. I wanted to continue a series I started a long time ago on the Educator Classic Library. And these were volumes of classic literature for children that were marketed, at least in my area, through a supermarket chain known as the Acme Super Saver chain. And this was one of these special promotion things, and you could go to the store like once a month. There would be a new title or something like that. And my mom, who was the food shopper in our house, she would collect these for us, and these titles lived in my room, my bedroom, all through my childhood, and I read a few of them. And since having moved away, I got interested in recollecting these. We had given these away long ago when we moved, but I've since gathered a nice collection of these. So the one I want to talk about today is 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea by Jules Verne. This is volume 2 in the set that we had. Volume 1 I covered already, Treasure Island. I will link to the playlist for all of these episodes in the show description. But today it's all about Jules Verne. So let's take a peek at what this book is all about. I actually got around to reading this maybe about a year ago. I think it was last summer I read it. Really enjoyed it. It was my first time reading 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. I always liked the story and the concept. I was familiar with the Walt Disney movie. I believe it was Walt Disney. Maybe they made a TV series out of it. But I remember Captain Nemo and James Mason was in it. It's a very captivating story. And I wanted to do a little walkthrough of this book so you can see what these volumes look like. First of all, I just admire the cover art quite a bit. These are very, very attractive. And there's your back cover, Educator Classic Library, complete and unabridged, they say. So let's take a peek and see what's inside. So a couple program notes about 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. It's written by the science fiction adventure writer Jules Verne, who is one of the early classic writers in sci-fi. And the novel was originally serialized in March of 1869 through June of 1870 in a French magazine. And then it was published in 1871 as a book, and shortly thereafter got translated. And it's an adventure story. It's an undersea story for the most part, and it's considered one of Jules Verne's more popular books. And it's the really the introduction of the submarine into literature. So the principal characters are Professor Pierre Aronnax, who's a natural scientist. He's the story's narrator. He's a participant narrator. Conseil is a Flemish servant of Aronnax, who's very faithful and knowledgeable about biology and so forth. And then Ned Land is a harpooner from Canada, and he's also like a sidekick character. And then, of course, Captain Nemo is the central focus of the book, this mercurial, mysterious designer of the submarine called the Nautilus, and he's the captain of the ship, and he's wandering the seas and so forth. So the book begins with like sightings of what people think are a sea monster, and then Aronnax is brought on to join an expedition to hunt for this sea monster, along with Ned Land and the manservant Conseil. And long story short, they sort of attack the quote sea monster, which is actually the submarine, and the ship is damaged and sinks, and our three characters survive by climbing onto the back of the quote monster, which is the submarine. And then they are invited in by Captain Nemo. So for the rest of the story, they are essentially guests, but they're also prisoners. Captain Nemo is not going to let these guys get away. Now, one interesting thing I noticed was this ephemera. So bound in here was the fact that you could get full color 14 by 18 inch reproductions of these covers. Wow, I would love to see if they are available, because some of these might be worth getting. I bet eBay might have some. So I haven't explored that yet. Printed on fine quality paper, linen canvas, good for wall decorations. And you can see here, they cost, back in the day, this would have been probably the 1970s, $5 per set. Impressive. I wonder if school teachers would have gotten those for their classrooms. Anyway, let's take a look at the book. These are illustrated volumes too. The paper quality is very cheap, and you can see it's been tanned with age. These were not like expensive volumes. I don't know what my mother paid for them. Here's our credits. The art director was Don Irwin, also assisted by William Dempster, Ron King, and Gwyn Irwin. Overseeing all this was Nick Otto, executive director, and so forth. So these are nice little examples of literature. Big, wide format. Like this strikes me as maybe an 8.5 by 11 size, roughly. Big books, but not too thick. A kid could easily hold these in his or her hands. Here's our chapters, part 1, part 2. And you have like these nice, lovely drawings. You have like glossaries and marginal notes to help you with some vocabulary and some of the concepts. You get a lot of biology in this book, by the way. And those of us who are not seafaring types, we can learn a lot about traveling the high seas and the depths of the oceans. So they travel all over the place. 20,000 leagues is a lot of distance that they're covering all over the world. And sometimes they surface and make a stop on an island or something. And it's very much an adventure story. So our narrator is fascinated by all the cool things they're seeing underwater, the different species, how they live off of what they find in the ocean. And there's also just the mysteriousness of Captain Nemo himself. Like, who is he? Why is he doing this? Why can't they get away? He's an enigma. They go for a sea walk. They encounter so many species. You can really learn a lot about biology from this book. And I do, as I said before with Treasure Island, I do like the page design here. Like, nice column width, nice wide margins so they can add these notes. The illustrations would keep a kid's interest. I just thoroughly enjoyed this story. I don't know why it took me so long to read it. There is a suggestion that Captain Nemo is in exile after his homeland was defeated and his family destroyed by some imperialist country which is not named, and ultimately the Nautilus is attacked by a warship that's representative of that country. Let me see if I can jump ahead here. This was a good chapter. I remember the Gulf Stream. And so the Nautilus is attacked by this warship. Nemo rams that ship and sinks it. And then Nemo sinks into a deep depression. And things kind of go awry after that. But Nemo becomes a recluse. But eventually Aronnax and his buddies manage to escape, while the Nautilus has been caught in a deadly whirlpool, commonly known as the Maelstrom. And our narrator and his friends are able to make it to the coast of Norway and are rescued. And we don't know what happened to the submarine until you get to the sequel called The Mysterious Island, a book I haven't read yet. But there you get to discover the real identity of Captain Nemo. So here's some extras that the book would included. These are just things that kids would drink up. You know, you've read this and now you can learn a lot about the geography and about the technology of submarines. Just so much fun. Well, I hope you enjoyed that deep dive into 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Just to give you a taste, we didn't even get wet. So it was quite a journey and it didn't even take that long. But anyway, I highly recommend this book if you haven't had a chance to read it. It's great for kids, but it's great for adults too. One of the things I love about this series is it's getting me to revisit some of the books I did read as a child, like Treasure Island, but also get around to these books that were once on my shelf and now have come back to the shelf, but books that I didn't actually read when I was a kid. So I'm filling in some gaps there. They're just loads of fun. I love the cover art, and you can find these on the used market, I think, relatively easily. Occasionally I see them in bookstores, but you're definitely going to find them on places like eBay, and you won't have to pay too much for them. So a lot of you might have nostalgia for these books. Some of you might be new to them, but keep an eye out for them if you're interested. They're a lot of fun. And with that, I'll say goodbye. Thanks for joining me. Please like and subscribe to the channel. It helps to build the audience, and I hope to come back and share some new books with you very soon. Bye-bye.